And I think, and the other thing as well is that you say that now's a good time to learn, but the thing is, now is probably not a bad time to be buying either.
Oh, fantastic time to buy.
Once we're in the height of that boom, you will be competing with 20, 30 other people looking for exactly that same house, and the prices will continually be driven up and up and up. Where I see Adelaide, and you can tell me if you agree or not, Adelaide, even when we had 19% interest rates, really didn't see a dip in the market. We have been an incredibly stable market. And so really, we can go into this kind of market, and again, this is no financial advice, we can go into the market with confidence that we'll probably really not dip, but knowing that we're coming out of the global financial crisis into a period in time where people are going to start to rebuild their countries overseas. They're going to want our resources, they'll be screaming for them, and they'll be dragging them out of the ground. Yeah. And with that will come money.
No, I'm really excited about the future, in particular for Adelaide and South Australia. And you're right, like most people are sheep. Most people will buy property because everyone else is buying property. Well, you don't want to be doing that. You want to be buying it before most of them start.
Yeah.
And it's like people enrolling in my course. At the moment, because the market is slow, enrolments are also slow. But having taught it for 9 years, I know when the market's really hot, I get lots of people coming in wanting to buy and become wealthy.
And then they expect to get great deals when there's about 30 other
That's
people
right,
looking for exactly the same
deal.
thing.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Peter, you've also written a book as well. Do you want to tell us a bit about that?
Sure, yeah. I've written a book called The Property Professor's Top Australian Suburbs. I'm fortunate in that I teach not only at UniSA and TAFE, but also a course developed by Victoria University, which is taught in Melbourne and Sydney and Brisbane. So I travel around Australia teaching.
Yeah.
So during my downtime, because one of the most popular things that students want to know is where should I be investing? Mm-hmm. During my downtime, I would actually go and have a look at suburbs in all these different capital cities and try and work out which are the best suburbs to buy into now and to create wealth in 5 or 10 years' time.
Yeah.
So in my book, I've got the top 20 suburbs for every major capital city, and then 2 in Darwin, 2 in Canberra and 3 in Hobart. So we finish up with just over 100 suburbs in Australia that I would recommend as suburbs to buy in, where you can create a fair bit of wealth over the short to medium term.
And it's clearly not based on guesswork. I mean, you're looking at infrastructure, you're looking at a lot of key factors that are going to suggest that certain areas are going to go up.
That's right. And the introductory chapters outline what my criteria are and why I think they are capital growth drivers. And then I go into detail about each suburb, why you should buy there. And in particular, like I'm not saying every house in every street in these suburbs would do well.
No.
I have the areas to focus on, so the best parts of the suburb, and maybe even more importantly, the worst parts of the suburb, which are the parts of the suburb to stay away from.
Okay. I guess in summary, what would you have to say about property education? Being a teacher of property for so long, what would you have to say about property education?
Look, property education is crucial to guaranteeing your future. Yep. Now, some of it is informal. Like, there are many people who did not do the course, did not go to university, didn't even finish school, and are making money through property. But a lot of that came from informal education. They had a mentor, they had an uncle, they had a father that could assist them with that. Others do courses, others go to seminars, other people read books, read magazines, whatever it is. You need to educate and inform yourself so your decision-making process will help mitigate any risks so you can maximise your chances of making money and minimise the chances of losing money.
And what would you say, because not every single student that comes through the doors is going to be successful, without question. What would you say would be the key factor for people going out there and becoming successful?
Okay. You have to be willing to take a calculated risk, and the first step in that is willingness to borrow money.
Yeah.
Because what I find is students who come to the course already owning property go on to much bigger and better things. But those students who've come along just to listen and maybe haven't owned a property yet and are not willing to take that step and borrow the $300,000 or $400,000 to buy a property, they would have been better off spending that money and going to Bali or going to some other overseas holiday.
Yeah.
But you have to be willing to take calculated risk. How do you know it's a calculated risk? Because you've educated yourself and you've done a scenario analysis. You know what's the best that can happen, the worst that can happen, what are the positives, what are the negatives, because without that sort of analysis, then you're taking some big risks.
And I think together with the education, I think another key factor is a burning desire to succeed and to reach that goal and to not stop until you get it.
That's correct. Like we were saying before,
exactly.
If you're not willing to put in the hours, looking at realestate.com, domain.com, the papers, messenger, ringing agents, then don't bother.
Exactly. I mean, often these people will hear that people get all these great deals. The thing is, they'll never find them themselves because they stop, and then they'll start believing they're just not out there. The thing is, somebody's getting them, aren't they?
That is correct. That is correct. So I think another analogy to use about education is many people look at property, but those people who are educated can see the opportunities. So I look in exactly the same place where everybody else does. You know, I don't have some magic wand and it turns a deal into a profitable deal. I look at realestate.com and the newspapers. But because I know what I'm doing, I can look at a property and see the opportunity. Whereas other people will look at 10 properties and not see the opportunities, or pick the one that actually has the most risk. So I think education allows you to see rather than just look.
I guess from my point of view as well, being someone that's able to go in and buy a property as well as sell it, it's immensely powerful because you can see the opportunities, but then you can sell the opportunities as well.
Right.
And like the education that goes behind really understanding property is immensely powerful. Well, on that, I just want to say thanks so much for making the time, Peter.